Marketing is very much non-effective at this point from my point of view. I don't like what's going on over there. I think that the community factor became prevalent in everywhere, and performance marketing is prevalent in AAA and the console, and this is a part of the reason why they are losing so much of the market at this point, because it just doesn't work. I think that professional PR and media doesn't work at all, and they need to reinvent themselves. And I also think that community-related stuff is also highly undervalued from the point of view of who are the people who are doing those things into publishers and developers and everywhere. Talking about problematic points you need to pay your attention as well. The marketing plans are almost in 100% will get altered with no real transparency with developer. So what happens is we'll look at this situation right now, how it becomes a systemic internal issue in the crisis in marketing today. But I want to start with just pointing out the major things and the major elements of it. And you will be told that we will spend $500,000 for this 10 streamers and 10 outlets and 5 shows and whatsoever. And then in 3 months, it will turn out that it's other streamers, outlets are the same, shows are different. You might have a conversation that we need to extend in the marketing guarantee, but again, it will be recouped from your end. Someone might have an idea of something better as it would be presented to you. And a lot of the things will happen post factum. All of them need to happen with your participants. Starting with the plan. Do not ever trust on a word that in this media, in this outlet is relevant to what you have. You need to go and you need to check it by yourself, and you need to look at the associated amount of money. You need to question, why is that this specific amount of money? Is it spread in between a bunch of other projects as well? How is that managed? What would be the materials? What are the typical numbers associated with the materials on this website today? Will there be a video materials or not? What is your level of participants? What materials you would need to produce and when for this specific effort? Like, this is how you discuss marketing, and you need to provide adjustments from your end, and you need to insist very hard that you would be informed on any and all changes in this department. It doesn't work otherwise. It just goes into a hell if it's not. Marketing will flatten expenses, including outlets. They know for years they pay annually for all services. It means that, let's say you have an IGN or Kotaku or whoever, or any outlet. I'm just coming up with the random names. And let's say in your marketing plan, it says that the amount of efforts would be $20,000 over the year for this, and that advertisement and those things and yada, yada. And the thing that you should question and that you might check as well is that those efforts would be spread in between all 10 other games of the publisher. And I seriously doubt that the contract's been $200,000 really. I think that in a lot of cases what happens is the marketing just tries to save money for their employer by basically saying that, look, we had a contract for 100,000 and we have the quota for this amount of articles and stuff and overall advertisement and things, and we will sell it to 20 developers, saying that it's $20,000 each. It's actually a $100,000 contract for everyone, and therefore just flatten the cost due to the composite contracts for multiple positions. You want to check on those things. Like, it's nothing bad on checking on the market prices and how these specific positions are costed this specific way. Again, no reason not to do that. No real conversion data in PR and community departments for interpretation of data points, which I consider to be one of the biggest issues that led us on where we're at. Because where I'm from, developers were still talking to community and to gamers a lot directly. Back in the day, like 20 years ago, 3,000 years ago, I've been there, Gandalf. It's been happening, but currently, at this point, it's not the case. And now we are in a position and the situation where effectively no one from the developers are often allowed to talk to the community if they're working with the publisher or with the platform. Consider that developer are goofy and the stupid entity that do not know what to say right on what time. They should be constantly educated and need to be taught in messaging to comply to multiple factors so issues not appear, which I consider to be mostly a big smoking pile of bullshit. People just create these things to look more important and to control other people in relationships. And at the end of the day, I wrote a tweet about it recently. So someone comes up with the idea of the promotion for the new audiences. There is a very simple way of checking if this idea works or not. Let's make a separate version with all of these changes for the new audiences and the version, a vanilla version for the old audiences, also revision, no changes at all. Set them for the 2 week for a A/B sales test and market it and see what sells more. Why no one does it? And I can answer you why, because, well, first of all, it would be claimed more expensive. Second, it would be like, you don't trust us, and immediate drama about it. And the third one, it will show by result that no one wants to have propaganda versions of the games at all. And people you're trying to position as the new audience are not buying games, they just like to talk about it. And people who are you alienating, the core audience, they're actually buying games, and you don't want to alienate them. But people in marketing want to have those projects. A lot of people just want to have this new idea and the personal project internally for a potential promotion. It's an issue of personalities. It's often an issue of just people trying to brackets play the game, as they call it, to play themselves up into the system by the cost of literally anyone else's interest. And you don't want to be a hostage of it. When you are revising and when you're looking and reviewing it, the marketing plan, you want to have at least a grasp of the potential conversion of the real existing examples, of how many people would come from this specific source and real examples, how many people like those posts, how many people are not bots, how many people actually posted about them purchasing the product, and then how many of these people commented on the actual feedback on the game after playing this amount of hours. Yes, we need those systems. I mean, otherwise it's just burning money on the parking lot for someone's idea of what is cool rather than actual effect. And that's extremely irritating, because people who are just extremely confident, have no specialization and have no accountability are dangerous for both quality of the project and marketing budgets, and they would never admit that they were wrong, and because they're so self-confident, they will probably just will get away from the situation by throwing away someone under the bus when this happens. And I think that those people are the actual biggest issue of the industry at this point. I think that these people should be out, and people who support them as well should be out as well. But since we're all polite and intelligent and actually nice folks over here, I think that the real way to deal with these things will be bringing in level of accountability and the control mechanisms that will just make such shenanigans impossible. And a big part of those videos and talks and my appearances are specifically about that, and informing people about how to make these mechanics accountable, so we will get better quality, better communication, and the better marketing. Marketing is not in touch in Gamer CDM, working through the middleman only, which is extremely ironical, because in some sense, especially in some publishers who are employing a lot of agencies, who are talking to media, who are talking to press, marketing is also a middleman that can be cut, but they also insist on not having any middleman. I find it extremely ironic, but at the same way weirdly logical in the current way of things, because people projecting so much. And a lot of PR agencies are abusing a relationship due to exclusivity. Dev has to supervise. Here's a very simple advice. Outside of controlling campaign and having a vote and an ability to review all of the suggested actions and materials, insist on having your own PR and marketing and community people as well. And where you see publishers' PR doesn't cut it, and they would not be able to cut it in many things, trust me, like advertisement of the social networks, still something new for a lot of people over there, like really. And even if it's not, they would try to do that without having an organic core and working with organic core with performance marketing, which would be a vain effort and just burning down the money. And compensate with your own efforts on the things that the marketing and PR the publisher side cannot. And when someone shows up for, like, let's say a hired PR agency and says that no, we manage this, you cannot touch that, well, tell them to screw off. I mean, like, it's really like, idea should be that everyone works together, coordinating is alright, but you want to be a part of those activities, especially the community side. You want to have your own community, you want to own this 100%, like it should be at your end, and you should not give it away to anyone, never. Like, just insist on that. The community, because gamers do not want to talk to publishers at all. Gamers don't like publishers in general. Gamers want to communicate to developers only, and they want to have like a 24/7 contact with the community manager and sometimes with other developers as well. Like, just have it this way. You want to have an ability to make any amount of keys and provide an access to the latest public available material, Like, let's say you had the demo to community in 100% capacity. I'm quite sure you would not be surprised that in some of the situations, attempts of publishers to prohibit showing demo or giving an opportunity for gamers to play the demo led to brackets leaks again. So developer would just leak the version and just be, oh, whoopsie doopsie, that shit happened. And then continue to talk to the community as well. Like, security breach, but hey, well, I mean, like, everyone liked it. Do you want to break the contract? I wouldn't think so. And then you communicate. And typically, publisher doesn't want to have it as well because, like, again, they have like tons of games. They don't want to extensively talk to a lot of people in the community. And community managers who are supposed to do that, they're like severely underpaid. Like, and they have to crunch a lot, and people like in a constant stress. This is why they often so irritated. They just want to exemplify how this marketing thing works and how it escalates into, and why it happens into so much of a bullshit show in many instances. In my opinion, it all starts from the fact that publishers often work with the media whom they keep completely under control, in a soft meaning, but still under control. And I cannot imagine market situation where there's a number of entities and you pay those people to review products and they would give you bad reviews. And it gives you the false impression that you can do and you can have whatever you can and whatever you build, and everyone would still give it good reviews. And those good reviews can be reported to founders and you would get bonuses, and system just works. There's only one issue with the system, is that it doesn't really include developers, sales, or gamers. And this is the reason why people in PR and media often hate games and gamers, because they actually standing in a way of the ideal world for them, where things can just happen all like business to business, and they don't want to think about actual real world happening around this bubble. And yeah, I mean, like, the controlling media with money turns into control of opinion, basically, by providing people with invitation, providing this budget, early versions for the reviews. All of the requisitions are based on the soft control, and everyone who thinks differently and everyone who's not in the system, they're like outcasts, right? You know, like, and there is this feeling that you should ostracize them if they are trying to go against this formed core of the narrative being built. It goes to a number of other effects, where it turns out that PR and media who operate this way, they can control only non-effective nodes like access media, avoid effective nodes like influencers with opinion. Everyone with opinion leads to irritation or a necessity of the damage control, so additional work, and people tend to hate it. So if you really look at this, a lot of paid PR campaigns, they will work with the medium-sized streamers whose business model is to work with all of the content, with all the product placement. Big streamers, they choose games that are A, in their field and their specialty, B, they specifically like, or C, they're basically telling that we're gonna review your game, but if we don't like it, we're gonna tell about it. Because their audience is more important than the contract that the publisher provides. And that should be the whole sense. Like, people have been asking me, like, how would media supposed to survive if they would not take money from people who advertise the product? Well, I would say that there should be two types of media. Like, this media that does reviews on the games that being provided to them, so either should buy them and should pay for all of this discount for all of these benefits, or they should market as advertisement. Like, those articles should be marked as advertisement because, like, they've been in a relationship with people who provide them with contracts. Or there should be media that operates subscriptions from the users and advertisement from the users, and they do not take advertisement from people who produce these goods, and they do not use these benefits, and they provide honest opinion on everything that they work with. I mean, that would be an ideal world. But other effects, right? Community considered low-level hassle, because again, community has its own opinion, and it's a system where you coordinate an effort from the center and it goes to media talks to community talks back to media interprets this data back to the center, and you collect all of this together and interpret this back to the founders, and often it just turns out to be not really what it is. Performance marketing allows low relevance. This is a killer. It's in the big successful games, it doesn't really happen, especially the live ops, because some of the marketing people who works in the larger live ops operations are actually some of the most professional people in the industry at this point. like the most professional. They understand that it's a very expensive animal, they understand their audience, they analyze lots of stuff. I mean, like, but that's a completely different business now. People who build performance marketing for and traffic acquisition for, let's say, story-based games on the PC, in many instances, they just do it so wrong. It's just, again, no core audiences, no understanding of audiences, just general bullshit from the internet. Let's buy $50,000 of advertisement for the Facebook for the shooter game because it's apparently 20 to 25-year-old males from United States, right? Without consideration of the setting and stuff and everything. And it happens more than you can imagine. And that not all of that leads to an internal crisis with too much games and management necessity, puts people on a constant stress internally into the marketing departments. They start dropping ball too often and has the necessity to substitute effective solutions with trendy and loud bullshit, just create a lot of distraction in general from their actual direct responsibilities. It's extremely hard to manage all campaigns with the same effort for them, so they need to prioritize, and this prioritization often goes against your project. They need to scale, and they start to hire a lot of low-skilled employees who often are better at the soft skills than the hard skills than some people had internally, and those people slowly squeeze people with actual skills, and that the department digress to just a bunch of people who can talk loud and who are like less expensive, and they are more proactive and being pleasant and entertaining for executives and management. Those people understand at the same time that they cannot produce any value, so they start actively to mitigate responsibility by the group and the committee thinking and by hiring external entities. And this is the point where structure goes into systemic crisis, with the full skew of issues like data misinterpretation, decision filibustering, and insecure passive-aggressive business in general. It hurts both publisher, founders, investors, and the developers. And that's an example. It's just very easy to construct these things when you understand how they work and understand. And moreover, I mean, like, if you look at this model, it's so easy to fix a lot of these elements. It's so easy to make 3, 4, 5 right decisions to unravel this crisis into actual functional structure. But no one really does it because currently companies are dominated by the fear of necessity of the growth in general, and marketing is traditionally considered to be a big part of that. And even if people understand that their department is a complete shit at this point, a fucking shit show, right? You know, like, they still cannot really put it away 100%, because that would be a sign of the investors and in some form an admittance of the fault in the mistake, and so that just doesn't happen. Ridiculous. The reason why this industry goes to crisis is that because more than half of the people in it understand issues associated with what's going on, but they would not ever publicly recognize it because they're afraid of the consequences of the previous actions, or just guilt by association of people making these decisions that led to what's going on. So we'll just see house burning where everyone is still in the house, in my opinion. I mean, like, but again, my hopes are still ways and opportunities to change and to take some conclusions and experience out of what's been happening, and that will help to build some other stuff that comes after. And anyway, happy to share these knowledges.